Let's get the latest on Hurricane Beryl sweeping across the Caribbean, leaving a trail of death and destruction. Last night we spoke to our correspondent in Jamaica as the storm was about to hit there. Pete Sankey joins us again. Pete, Associate Editor of the Jamaica Observer. Pete, it's great to have you back on. I'm wondering how things are there now, what has happened. Tell us the latest that you can.
All right, thank you very much for having me. Jamaicans are literally picking up the pieces as Hurricane Beryl hit hard last night. The southern parishes of St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, and Manchester were hardest hit. A number of houses badly damaged, a number of them lose their roofs. 2 people have so far been confirmed dead, including a 20-year-old boy who was playing football and went to retrieve the ball and was washed away. The other death is a woman whose house was damaged by a tree that fell on the house, and she died in that. At the moment, the Jamaica Public Service Company, which is a light and power company, is trying to restore electricity. It reported earlier today that 65% of the island was without electrical power, but it has started restoration work. Roads that were closed because of fallen trees or flooding, some of them are now being reopened. Some businesses started to restore their regular operations today. Some government offices were also open today. So Jamaicans are still counting damage. We don't know yet if there will be more deaths. We may have to wait until later today or tomorrow. And in terms of the extent of the damage, a number of roads have been destroyed, and plus a number of farmers have lost livestock, and they've also lost crops in this hurricane.
Pete Sankey, thank you very much, and please stay with us. We'll come back to you in a moment. I'm sorry to hear about the loss of life in Jamaica and the loss and damage to property. It is a tragedy, though I think, Pete, you agree that it perhaps could have been a lot worse. We'll get back for more reaction from you. Let's bring in Ilan Kelman, who's Professor of Disasters and Health at the UCL Institute for Risk and Disaster Reduction. Ilan Kelman, thanks for being with us. We heard from Pete there that perhaps Jamaica had... There's been loss of life, so it is a tragedy. I'm not trying to play that down, but it could have been a lot worse, I think. It's now moved on, Beryl, to Cayman Islands, heading towards Mexico. Can you give us a sense, Ilan, as to why Hurricane Beryl is happening at this time of year? I understand it's quite early.
Well, hurricane season does generally start in June, and it can certainly go to the end of the year. So this does happen every year. What the concern about the hurricane is for this year is it's unusual for it to be this strong, and it did strengthen quite rapidly. So that does not mean that we should be complacent, because hurricanes can happen at this time of year. Jamaica, Grenada, Barbados, all of the places which Beryl caused damage, they are used to hurricanes. They've had them many times before. So it simply means that during hurricane season, when you're in Hurricane Alley, do be prepared for a hurricane.
Ilan, is this all about climate change?
The disaster, no. We absolutely know we are changing the climate. There is no doubt we are changing it rapidly and a lot. We do know that our climate change is affecting hurricanes. So when we look at the Caribbean and the Atlantic, we expect that there will be fewer hurricanes in number. So numbers are going down because of human-caused climate change. But the bad part is that they are becoming stronger. They are intensifying. Also, they do tend to intensify or strengthen much more rapidly. So when there is a hurricane, there will be less time to prepare. That's the hurricane. When it comes to the disaster, these places know that hurricanes can happen. Jamaica was hit by Hurricane Gilbert in 1988 and Hurricane Ivan in 2004, as was Grenada, Hurricane Ivan in 2004. So the key really is be ready for a Category 5 hurricane, because it can and will happen.
So, just to sum up on the climate change angle, Ilan, climate change isn't causing the hurricanes. They would happen anyway, but it's changing the nature of them and their intensity. That's the thing. Ilan, thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to you soon. Pete, can I bring you back in? Because this isn't an argument situation. It's learning from each other and working out where we go. Pete, I take it Jamaica's thing now is to be ready for these things when they happen, to be prepared and to get ready. Is that something that people are getting on board with?
Yes, people are really getting on board. Well, the government says get ready. This is the start of the hurricane season. and they go ahead and they clean drains and so forth. And when the hurricane is approaching now, people will get their homes and so forth ready. But your expert just a while ago said we're used to hurricane. We had Ivan. Ivan was in September. We have never had a hurricane this strong. In June, this is June, July. We're in July now. It has never happened before. Gilbert was on September 12, 1988. Unfortunately, we lost 35 people in Jamaica that year, and the damage was devastating. But this so early in the year, it is basically unknown. We're not used to it so early in the year. Plus, such a strong one.
Ilan Kelman, can I bring you back in on this one? What kind of help can we, as an international community, give to Jamaica, other places in the path of these kind of natural disasters? What can we do?
What to do, and they did very well. They were quite aware of it. They had the warnings, people prepared. And again, the month that the hurricane happens is not really relevant because it is hurricane season and people need to be aware. So Category 3, Category 5, July, September, November is going to cause problems. What we can do is actually learn from Jamaica, learn from Barbados, which are well aware that this is happening. They are ready to go to repair the power lines. They issue the warnings. Jamaica did wonderfully in actually helping homeless people shelter away from the major danger zones. So what we can do is watch, listen, and learn, and ensure that when we have major weather events, that we actually take on board the lessons from the Caribbean islands and do far better for ourselves in the UK and France.
I think that's a great point, Ilan. Let's get back to Pete for more on that. Pete, praise there for how Jamaica has organised and helped people in the path of this hurricane. Can you give us more on just what has been done, how Jamaica has tried to get people to shelter? Ilan was talking about homeless people being helped in particular. Can you give us some more on that, please?
Yes, I know homeless people in parish. In each parish, we have 14 parishes. They were taken out by the municipal councils, and they were taken to shelters. So those are homeless people. People in flood-prone areas were also removed by the government and taken to safer areas. So the government did very well. The communication machinery has been out there. The Prime Minister has been intimately involved. In fact, the Prime Minister is supposed to be touring section of the island today. Hopefully by tomorrow we hear from him what is the extent of the damage and what is going to be done moving forward to assist those affected.
And what kind of help, Pete, will those people get? Do you have any sense from your perspective as the local journalist on the ground? What kind of help are people getting? Is it sort of reconstruction? Is it money? Is it actual assistance in rebuilding? Can you give us a sense of that?
Well, any help to come now, just now, will be in form of money, in form of food, maybe in form of clothing. Those whose roofs were lifted off and they got wet. But in terms of reconstruction, that will have to come later because an assessment will have to be done and the money would have to be approved. Because we can't just go and spend money like that. It just doesn't allow it.
Understood. Ilan Kelman, can I bring you back in? Beryl is barreling beyond Jamaica, towards the Cayman Islands, towards Mexico. Can you give us any sense of what the people there can expect?
Well, it's simply what has gone before. High winds and a lot of water. So they need to prepare. They need to prepare now. Get out of floodplains, exactly as Jamaica managed to do for many people. We actually find that the vast majority of deaths in hurricanes are from flooding, not from wind. It does mean to ensure that you are in shelter so you are protected from the wind because the wind and the water can bring debris, which can definitely kill people, and simply be ready to have no power, no internet, no phone coverage for a few days, to have enough food, to have enough medicine, to have enough bottled water, and just ensure that you're protecting yourselves and the people around you in order to avoid the deaths. Despite all the successes in Grenada and Barbados and Jamaica, as we heard, there were deaths, and one death is too many. We should be saving all of those lives.
Indeed, one death is too many. Completely agree with what you're saying there. And Peter sort of telling us about the effect in Jamaica. They're still not sure just how many fatalities there have been. They're still counting the cost. Ilan, this is possibly the final question. It's about climate change and the greater picture in terms of the world and how perhaps a little help here in France, something done somewhere else, might change the situation. Is that what we need to do? Is that going to help, or are we too far gone to stop the changes that we're already seeing?
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt we have to stop human-caused climate change, and we can do it. We know what to do because we have all the technology and ability available if we do actually want to transition our energy and also ensure that we improve our land use to absorb more greenhouse gases. When it comes to these storms, though, the islands know what to do. So the disaster actually comes from people who don't have the opportunity or the resources to get out the way, and from some governments which may not be as focused on their citizens. So what we can do for storms is, again, learn from Jamaica, learn from Grenada, learn from Barbados, look at what went right and imitate it, look at what went wrong and do better, and ensure that no matter what the storm is, we do not get the deaths, we reduce the damage, and so we do not get the disaster.
Ilan Kelman of the Global Health Institute at UCL in London, thank you very much indeed. And Pete Sankey, once again, Associate Editor of the Jamaica Observer. Pete, great to see you in one piece. Hope you and all your loved ones are okay, and we wish Jamaica a very speedy and full recovery from the disaster that has just hit. Great to see you, sir. Great to see you looking well and in one piece. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks again to you, Ilan Kelman, as well.